you say to have peace, you have got to stop letting the things you can't control you.
Yeah.
Trent Shelton, how do we do that?
It's tough. First, you have to have a reality check with yourself and understand that, because what I've noticed in my own life, being doing this 15 years, that most people, when it comes to their worth or how they feel, it's connected to something outside of them, whether it's people's opinions, whether it's the job, whether it's whatever it may be. And there's this constant battle, I believe, every single day for our worth, for our peace, for our sanity, for our happiness, for our joy. And that constant battle is between the external and the internal. So I always tell people, ask yourself a simple question. Can I control this? If you can't control it, you have to let it go. And I love to say, I will control what I can and pray about what I can't. And I have to leave it in God's hands. And to be real, Jamie, that's hard sometimes, because as human beings, we want to have so much control over things. And if we feel like we don't have control, there's stress and anxiety. But I've learned to let it go. I've learned to trust, even when I don't understand. And that's been the driving force in my life and keeping my peace. So I would just simply tell that person, ask yourself, can I control this? And if you can't, let it go and trust that everything's going to work out.
Whew, what are your tips for doing that? Because I'll
Yeah.
tell you, sometimes I'm like, okay, I know I can't control this, but I really want to figure out how to control this.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny. There's one of my favorite quotes is actually by 50 Cent. That's, I think, by his grandma, that says either pray or worry, but don't do both.
For sure.
And most of my life, I'm like, oh, but I do both, right? I'm like praying about it, and then I still worry as if I can somehow do anything about it, or as if I'm not trusting God,
For
right?
sure.
And so in your journey, like, how have you learned to do that? And are you at a place now where you can go, can I control this? I can't. And then you just let it go. And how do you do that? Do you just decide, or how do you do that?
Yeah, I just realized in my life through experience, like the things that I've tried to control that I can't control. And a lot of that has been people. And I don't always want to talk about that, but a lot of that has been people, how people feel about me, what people say, the internet, all the algorithm, Lord, all these things outside of me. And what I've realized is that I'm just driving myself crazy. And for a lot of people, just what I believe in my faith is that a lot of us, we want to be behind the steering wheel of our life. We want to be able to control everything. The truth is, in life, you can't. You can't control the experiences. You can't control your tomorrows. You can influence it. You can do your best to put yourself in the best position to have the greatest things happen for your life. But the truth is, and I know you know this, I've done everything right and things have still went wrong. And I say wrong, but really it's just not the right for my life at that time. And so I've learned to say, you know what, Trent, get out the driver's seat of your life and put God there. And where God takes you, sometimes it don't make sense. You question it. But I always say this quote, God will allow you to go through places you don't understand just to bring you to the place where he needs you to be. So when I look over my life, that's where the trust comes from. That's where my faith comes from. It doesn't come from knowing what tomorrow brings. It comes from knowing that God has had my back time after time again. And that's hard, right? Because sometimes you lose people, you lose things, and you want these things back in your life. Sometimes it's loved ones. But I've learned to have patience and faith in saying, if it's not for me, then it's just not for me. And that's so hard at times when it's things that you love. But I prioritize my peace over everything now. And that's definitely has helped my life. So I would tell the person, prioritize your peace and learn over time that everything is working out for your good. And I know that seems super motivational and inspirational, but it's the truth.
It's the truth.
Everything is working for you. And that's the truth that I stand by and live by.
Isn't it so true that, like, if we could control everything, we wouldn't need faith?
Exactly. What's the point of it?
Yeah. Millions of people inspired by your words every single day. Just to read a couple quotes, they say that you are hope for people who feel hopeless, Trent Shelton, that you create content that is a light for someone in their darkest times. And you just help so many people take the things that they're going through and help them turn them into the things they make it through.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that is because of the things you've made it through.
Yeah.
So Can you just share a little bit? And I know there's a lot of things you have made it through. And it's so powerful that you share
Yeah.
some of those things because it helps people feel less alone and more enough. And then they, and then it helps them go through it as well. So, can you talk about your journey just of turning the things you go through into the things you make it through?
Yeah. I made a commitment when I first started, like 2009, and when it really got real in 2011. And I made a commitment that I would always be a voice for people to let them know that everything they're going through can soon turn everything they made it through. And I wanted to be an example of that. And I didn't want to just be a one-trick pony where it's like, I'm telling you these things, but I'm not letting you know what I'm going through. And yeah, I go through a lot, just like every human being. And I remember making a promise to my best friend while I started doing what I do, that committed suicide. And I told him that I would be the voice for people who need one, and I would be the shoulder to lean on for people who need one. And that was very difficult for me because, again, I'm an introverted person. When I started this, it wasn't like the popular thing to do at that time. But I knew that there were so many people out there that thought that they were broken. And so for me, being vulnerable and transparent led to my transformation. And I want to let people know that it's okay to go through things. It's okay to share things. It's not going to hurt your brand. It's okay to, admit that you're going through a struggle because that's relatable. I can inspire people with my things. I can inspire people with the house or the car, or I'm telling you all these numbers, which that's a part of it too. But I wanted to be able to impact people with my heart and say, I want you to experience my heart, and I want you to feel this connection, and I want you to see a human in me, this human that can rise above, this human that can conquer, this human that can overcome. Because if you can see that hope in me, then hopefully you can see that hope in yourself. And so that's why I'm so open and transparent. And Jamie, it's just hard to just do this, smile when I'm dying inside. I just can't do it. It just takes too much energy. So I would rather say, hey, y'all, I'm depressed right now. It doesn't mean that my life is over. I'm going through a storm, but I promise you I will get through it because no storm lasts forever. But I'm going through it. I'm climbing this mountain with you. I'm at the mountaintop saying, hey, this is how you get up here. No, I might have been there, but every year in my life through something, because I'm a human, I come back down to the valley and I'm with you, climbing this mountain with you. So I think that's what's helped me connect with so many people across the world. And honestly, that's what's helped me be able to continue on this journey, because if I'm carrying all this emotional baggage and, as I always say, smiling for the camera, but dying behind the scenes, I know where that leads. I know people in my life that are no longer here because of that. And so I refuse to be what the world wants me to be and lose myself. I refuse to be who the world wants me to be and not keep peace in my life. So for me, this is the easiest thing for me to do, is to say, this is what I'm dealing with. So the last, 3 years, I'm good this year, but 2021, 2022 was some of the worst years of my life. My mom and that whole situation, and then my situation a few days later, then my grandmother gone, and then my dad's best friend who was a mentor in my life a few months later. Then the next year I ruptured my Achilles and I always had to get my leg, like my foot literally almost cut off. And it's back to back to back to back to back. And yeah, I questioned God. Yeah, I was like, what's going on? Yeah, I had to still be this person for the world, but I gave myself grace to say, you know what? It doesn't make me less. It doesn't make me less of a human. It doesn't make me less of an expert. It doesn't make me less of a brand because I'm dealing with things. Actually, this strengthens it. And I had so many people say, man, Trent, because of you these last 3 years, you have impacted me more than anything over the last 12 years that you've been doing this. So that's why I do it. You will always be not enough for the wrong people or person. We build relationships these days, I feel like, off of the weakest things. And no wonder when we go through trials and tribulations, things crumble. If you don't demand your worth, the world will tell you what your worth is. The last time I checked, that's not a good price tag. They usually put you on wholesale.